In the world of modern aerial warfare, the distance between a hero and a casualty is measured in centimeters. At 400 knots, 50 feet above the jagged tree line of the Donbass, there is no room for philosophy. There is only the cockpit's glow, the smell of recycled air, and the terrifying knowledge that you are flying inside a kill zone the size of a small country. Tonight, the mission isn't just about destruction. It's about a message. A strike aimed directly at the heart of Russian logistics, a base fortified by the most advanced air defense network on the planet. They said this jet was a relic. They said the mission was impossible. But as the missile leaves the rail, the story takes a turn that no one, not the Kremlin, not the Pentagon, and not even the pilot himself, saw coming. This is the story of the strike that blew up more than just a base. It blew up the myth of invincibility. To understand the gravity of this operation, you have to meet the Su-24 Fencer. It is a beast of a machine, heavily armored, twin-engined, and designed during the height of the Cold War for one specific purpose: low-level, high-speed nuclear penetration. It's loud, it's vibrating, and by all modern standards, it should be in a museum. Standing in its way is the S-400 Triumph, the crown jewel of Russian defense, a system capable of tracking 300 targets simultaneously. It creates a dome of denial that makes the sky over the border a graveyard for anything with a radar signature. For 2 years, this dome has dictated the war. But Ukraine had a secret weapon, a Frankenstein marriage of Western tech and Soviet steel. By mounting British Storm Shadow missiles onto these aging bombers, they created a predator that shouldn't exist. This missile doesn't just fly, it thinks. It uses GPS, terrain mapping, and an infrared nose cone to see its target. But there's a catch. To launch it, the jet has to get close, dangerously close. 2:14 a.m. The pilot, let's call him Andriy, feels the weight of the 2-ton missile beneath his wing. He isn't flying in the sky, he's hiding in the earth. This is terrain masking. If he rises above the height of a grain silo, he appears on every Russian screen from Rostov to Moscow. The physical toll is immense. At this altitude, the air is thick. The jet bounces violently. Andriy's hands are white-knuckled on the stick. Every hill is a potential collision. Every power line is a death trap. He is operating at the edge of the OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, act. If he hesitates for half a second, the mission ends in a fireball. Suddenly, the cockpit turns red. An S-300 battery has caught a glimpse of his tail fin. Andriy doesn't climb. He pushes the nose down. He's now flying so low that his wake is kicking up dust from the Russian fields. He's gambling that the ground clutter will confuse the Russian radar. For 10 agonizing seconds, the lock light blinks. Then, silence. He's back in the shadows. This is the moment, the launch box. The Su-24 screams upward, reaching the apex. The pilot pulls the trigger, the missile detaches with a heavy thud. The jet immediately rolls and dives back toward the safety of the horizon. The missile is now on its own. The missile strikes. A blinding white light consumes the screen. On the ground, the Russian soldiers are running for cover. The primary target was a command center. But as the fire spreads, something begins to happen that wasn't in the briefing. A series of secondary explosions begins to rip the base apart from the inside out. The pilot is halfway home when his radio crackles. It's intelligence. They are shouting, not in celebration but in shock. They realize that they hadn't just hit a command center. They had accidentally unlocked a secret the Russians had been hiding for months. And now, the entire Russian Southern Command is in a state of total, unmitigated panic. It wasn't just fuel, and it wasn't just drones. The Storm Shadow had inadvertently struck a secret shipment of North Korean ballistic missiles, KN-23s, that had arrived only hours before. The blow-up wasn't just physical, it was geopolitical. The base didn't just burn, it evaporated. Over 40 high-ranking officers, including the logistics chief of the entire sector, were in that secure bunker for a handover meeting. In 60 seconds, Russia's ability to coordinate its winter offensive vanished. The twist? The Ukrainian High Command didn't know the missiles were there. They had aimed for a simple communications hub. It was the ultimate Black Swan event. A single aging jet, through a combination of precision and pure, chaotic luck, had decapitated an entire army's backbone. Andriy is back on the ground. He will eat, he will sleep, and tomorrow he will do it again. Because in this conflict, the sky doesn't belong to the one with the most planes. It belongs to the one with the most to lose. The Milerovo strike wasn't just a mission, it was a reminder. In the age of high-tech giants, the slingshot still works. What happens when a 1960s-era Soviet bomber meets the most advanced air defense system in the world? In this deep dive documentary, we go inside the cockpit of the Ukrainian Su-24 strike on the Russian Milerovo base. Experience the high-stakes world of terrain masking, the technical brilliance of Franken SAM engineering, and the incredible moment a routine strike turned into a geopolitical earthquake. This isn't just a story about missiles, it's a story of human grit and the unpredictable chaos of modern warfare. Write your tactical analysis in the comments. We'll see you in the next deep dive. Stay sharp.